Jack.
Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Ian.
And I'm Lauren.
And together, we'll stay strong and play with our strength at this weekend workout. What is it called, Lauren? It's called the Gun Show by the look of it.
Crawls. And working on our crow, week number 2.
You got it. And don't forget those pistol squats or those single leg squat progressions. We have our balance aids at our side, encouraging you to get one as well. We'll start with our light warm-up and get our mobility and strength fired up on this Saturday morning live or in the archive. Starting with the feet, let's get to that demi-point position or the balls of the feet. Take your ankle on the lateral bone and move it out to the side. I'm trying to get mine to reach towards Lauren. But then at the hip, showing itself at the knee, pull in.
So keep your knee in front.
Keep your knee facing front. Then take that ankle bone in the middle, that medial malleolus, and bring it towards your standing leg and try to take your knee this time from the hip and reach it out to the side. Let's just do that one more time. Ankle out, hip, knee in. Ankle in, hip, knee out. Fire up those balance muscles on the calf. Then press the hip through to extend, and then same thing on the other side. The ball of the foot. The ankle on the lateral ankle bone there goes out, but keep your knee facing center. Then ankle bone in and pull the knee out. Keep it facing forward throughout. Repeating one more time. Ankle out, hip, knee in. Feel those adductors and glute muscles fire up top. Then the ankle in, the knee towards out, reach and feel tension into the floor, and then extend the hip through, finishing tall. Lauren likes those floppy fish. Whew. Shake out those ankles as well. From here, let's go little knees over toes. Knees towards over toes, then extend those hips through with a butt squeeze. Repeating again, peel the heels up and descend a little bit lower. Then reconnect the heels, press the hips through. One more time, knees over toes, descend a little bit low, then heels down, hips through, and find our first toe balance here today. Squeeze your cheeks, these ones, smile with these ones, brace the core, maintain your breath, and slowly return to the floor. I'll take it over one more time on the hips with our bars in a second, but first, from the tips of the toes to the top of the head, Lauren, take it away.
To the head, with your feet underneath you, your shoulders lightly retracted. Let's keep those blades together and just gently rotate your head looking one way. And then bring it back through center and rotate the head looking the other way. And as you do that, did you keep your shoulder blades where they were? Was your rib cage staying facing forward? One last time, and that rotation only coming from the head, neck, back to center. Next, growing out like that marionette, we'll pull up to the ceiling and then that light ear to shoulder. As we do this, we think that the neck stays fairly stationary and our head is moving on top of it. Our nose is our pivot point. One more time, an ear to a shoulder and back up to tall. And then an ear to a shoulder and back up to tall. Last thing at the head neck here, we'll extend the face forward like a chicken and then a super attractive photograph. Tuck your chin and make the triple chins. Repeat again, extend the face forward and then keeping the nose at the same level, chin tucked straight back. I like to imagine my spine coming out the top of my head. Relax but stay. Let's do a quick shoulder blade movement. Light shrug up. Blades retract, pulling them together. Pull them down, keep your hands where they are and press your blades forward. Repeat, shrug up, retract. Pull down, press forward. Now stay there and reverse it. Down, retract, elevate. As you press those blades forward, don't let the arms come in front. Pull down. One more time. Retract, elevate, protract, pull down. We'll end in that retracted position and then to Ian.
To me. And to me, we'll go back to the chair or counter or beautifully mounted bar on your wall. Stand tall on a single leg and take the other leg and point it to the front. Your karate foot or your ballet foot's appropriate here. Try to challenge yourself with that strength from the pointed toes. Externally rotate so that the inseam of that leg out front is facing up. and then turn in on that hip. Encourage the standing hip to remain facing forward to maximize the turn in on the leg out front. Repeat one more time in our turn out, then our turn in, and one last time in our turn out, and bring that out to the side. Hips stay forward, legs stay straight at the knees. We're turned out, so let's turn in, which means that inseam faces the floor. Then we'll turn out, kneecap faces towards ceiling. Repeat again, turning in. Repeat again, turning out. One last time, turn in. Utilizing that turn in, bring that leg through to the back, straight out the back, roll over the foot, and bring it underneath. Repeat to the rear, extending the hip, tucking those hips under. Then we'll open up. Inseam faces forward by the side. Keep it forward, and then bring it to the front. And a straight leg, extend the hip, and bring it through. I didn't use my bar. Feel free to challenge yourself without, but definitely use the bar, Lauren says, with a shake of the finger, because it helps. It gets us focusing on those hips positions. Repeating again, tall on both legs, flex the hip out front, ballet foot or karate is fine. Challenge your arch strength here. Turn out, inseam up. Turn in, likely we turn, so keep that standing hip forward. Repeat again, we'll turn out, kneecap towards Lauren here. Then turning in, my inseam is again hiding. Finish one more time in our turn out. Then utilize that turn out to bring it to the side. And from the side, we'll turn in. Then we'll turn out. And is your knee straight? It's a cue for me and for you. Turn it in again. Turn it out one more time. And then turn in. Unlike the ballet, we'll turn in and bring that leg towards the back, over the foot, straight underneath. Now, tuck under those hips. Reach to the back with a straight leg, then open up in that hip socket like a lock and key. To the side, to the front, bring it underneath. Finish tall, and add that shake. We'll get the chair out of the way, throwing it over to Lauren here. And if we're doing
Get
crows,
it right out of the way.
Yeah, right out of the way.
Excellent. If we're doing crows, we better warm up. 1, our shoulders quickly, and then 2, our wrists. So let's start with our shoulders from standing, and then we'll get to the floor and warm up our wrists. With our hands at our sides, let's lightly retract our shoulder blades. Next, we'll extend on those hands, reaching them to the back. Then we'll curl those fingers in, curl the fists in. Right here, check in that those fists aren't deviating towards the midline, but you're pulling that rope tight. Then we'll curl the elbows. We'll drive the elbows forward. Next, we'll open up those arms. We'll extend on the elbows and then extend on the wrists. Now keep those fists right now and keep that extension and lightly shrug your shoulders and then pull them down. And then press your blades forward and retract them back. Then we'll come back to flexed fists. Curl the elbows.
You just like that move because you have to flex.
Curl. Bring the elbows to the front of the room. Pull them down to the sides, retracting your shoulder blades as you go. Next, extend on the elbows. Think about those wrists. And then extend on the wrists. Extend on the fingertips. Give that a little shake out. From here, we'll do one more quick shoulder. W position. Extend to the T. In the T here, again, reach to either side of the room, light shrug, light pull down. Let's come to the YMCA. Light shrug, pull down. Towards the I and iron. Light shrug, pull down, and then bend those elbows, returning them to the W. And then extend on the elbows, tension, 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 and give that a little shake. We'll come to the floor next for that wrist prep as we'll connect with the floor through some crawls. Let's do that via that toe squat we warmed up earlier. So knees towards over the toes. Then find that light rise. Slowly descend. Wobble, wobble. Soft landing on those knees with or without the hands. Extend the hips. Let's untuck the toes and sit back for a second. Doody-doo. Then hips extend. Give yourself some room. Hardest game to start. Extend your arms in front of you. Retract your shoulder blades. Palms are face down. Check out where your elbow pits are. Those things. Can you rotate, keeping your palms towards the floor? Can you rotate your elbow pits towards the ceiling? Keeping your shoulder blades where they are and your palms where they are, can you rotate your elbow pits down? Let's do that 2 more times. It's hard, it's not impossible, it's just difficult. Rotate your elbow pits up, rotate them down. Rotate your elbow pits up. How's it going, Ian?
I've never done it this specific way, and it's tough.
And then last one, rotate those elbow pits up. Hinge on the hips. All 4 fingers, well, you'd have 8. All 8 fingers connect with the floor right now. As those full fingers are on the floor, as well as that first knuckle line, where are your elbow pits facing?
Forward, Lauren.
Good answer, Ian. Pull your shoulders down. Rock from your pinky to your index, your pinky to your index. Next, I want you to keep those elbow pits facing forward and try to connect the palms to the floor. Ooh. Then we'll do 1 more rotation and then I'll get off of this. Let's rotate those pits backwards and then rotate them forwards. This might be a little bit easier as you have that anchor in your wrists, rotating the humerus in the socket, and with those elbow pits facing forward. We'll gently pull on the floor, shifting our shoulders towards over our fingers, and then rock back. And 1 more time in that wrist extension, shoulders towards over fingertips. Press back, flick, shake. Let's do the opposite for 1. Come down to those fists, hinging on the hips, knuckles down on the floor on those first 2 knuckles, shoulders packed. Roll over the back of the hand, opening it up. Pull your shoulder down. I said I'd stop talking about that elbow, but I'm not over it yet. Where is that? Can we get, again, that elbow pit or blood donation to rotate forward without the shoulder popping into your ear? Then push into the floor to get back to that fist. Same thing on the other side. Roll over the back of the hand. Pull the shoulder out of your ear. Try to get to that elbow pit facing forward. And then press back up. 1 more time each side. You may notice one side's easier than the other. That's no problem. Just practice. And then back up. And last time, on this last one here, I rotated it forward. And then I tried to rotate it internally and ended up with it forward. Push back into those fists. Extend the hips. Should we stand up?
No, we're going to stay down here for 1 second.
1 second.
And explore those splits.
Maybe 1 Mississippi.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, on, 2. Oh, and then there was a light. A little bit dark here this morning in the Bars and Bells studio, so thank you, Lauren. Open up into,
thank you,
may
Thomas.
I call this a Edison? Thank you very much. Can we safely get into your split? Is this a gentle position or is it super aggressive on your adductors? Maybe do this from a seated position, elevated position with the yoga block on your bum. Take care. Prioritize the lumbar extension or that cow tip of the hip. With the hands on the floor. Karate feet or ballet feet, but maybe Lauren change them for a second here into that karate stance. I'll be driving my 1 leg into the floor over here on my left and it won't move. I'll be driving my right leg here now into the floor, and the goal is to bend the knee without moving the foot. Sit tall, feel the work on both sides of those hips, and then gently extend. You may be able to wiggle that a little bit more open. Let's repeat on the other side. So my right leg here is stiff, and it's pressing down into the floor. My left leg is stiff, but now I'm pulling into that heel to encourage a little bit of daylight here between my knee and the floor. Feel the opposite side of that joint work in addition to the groin hamstrings on this side. And then stay and chill and maybe a wiggle. Let's repeat that again. We're sitting tall. Pull down on the 1 leg so that the knee bends, but to not move. We're not moving the heel, but we're just creating a lot of tension in the hip there. And then extend. And perhaps that little gentle wiggle over and open. And again, the other side. Pull down. Feel that tension between the heel and the ground and the hip. Breathe, 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 and then extend and wiggle. Last position through here. I'm hungry. I want some pancakes, but it's not quite time for that yet. So instead, let's work on pressing the T-spine forward into extension or that heart forward. And as Lauren's showing here, that beautiful long back line. Show us a little flexion shape there, Lauren. Try to avoid the flexion and instead, with that heart long, maybe inch those hands gradually forward, Breathe into that deep splits position. Hey, Ian, you're not either foot position, so either be at the karate practice dojo or on stage in the ballet, and breathe in, breathe in, breathe. Then easy does it. Take your time coming out of there. No hands maybe as a fun task here. Let's get to standing. No hands, no other rules, and then shake out. Before we get to those hands and the hips on the ground like Lawrence crawls, let's just explore one more balance. We'll progress with that pistol squat. Standing on 2 feet underneath, pull up a single leg towards our little flamingo stance. In this position, the standing leg is tucked under, the elevated leg is tipped back like cow. Check. How's your balance? Maybe close your eyes. Open up. Ooh, those proprioceptors, wake them up this morning. Then as the foot touches, push the hip through to finish tall. Repeat on the other side. As soon as that leg lifts the floor, think that tailbone like a cow. The standing one right now is tucked under forward like that cat. Hold for a couple seconds, root the feet, perhaps close the eyes. Proprioceptors, wake up, turn on, okay. Then foot touches, push the hip through. As we explore that single leg squat going forward, feel free to use your balance aid. Shake it in between, of course. And until then, it's time to work towards that crow, Lauren. But first, the crawls.
You're right. We are going to do an elephant that turns into a plank and then back into an elephant 3 times in a row. You'll need a little bit of room in front of you, and if you don't have that, you don't have to move forward. You can do this stationary. Let's do a forward fold to start today's elephant. With your shoulders retracted, sometimes I like to start with T-Rex arms. Why I'm doing my T-Rex arms is that makes my blades stay together, and then I'm actually flexing forward and bending my spine through the T-spine and the rib cage instead of just reaching with my shoulder blades. We're trying to bend up and over those hips as we come down, and then you can let those T-Rex arms go towards the floor. Hang out here for a second, breathe. Then we'll walk yourself out to our A-frame or elephant shape or down dog, whatever you'd like to call it. With that tailbone tipped towards the ceiling, let's just breathe here. You're prioritizing that long spine and maybe the heels towards the floor. But I'd rather see that low back in that extension position than your heels to the floor in a rounded low back. Next, we're going to walk ourselves out into a plank position. So your hands will step forward. You'll drop your hips so that they're in line with your shoulders and your shoulders are over top of your wrists. Pull the floor together underneath you, squeezing your cheeks, bracing your core for 3, 2. Now re-tip the tailbone to the ceiling. If you have room, let's walk our feet to our hands. If you don't have room, just hang out in your A-frame down dog shape again for 3, 2, and then again, walk your hands forward into your plank position. Plank hold. This time, squeeze your cheeks. Think about pulling your right hand to your left hip and your left hand to your right hip. Cross body tension for 3, 2, tailbone tips to the ceiling, hips lift. Walk your feet to your hands. Let's try to do it one more time. Try to keep your hands as flat as you can as you walk those feet in. Ooh. Then, last plank. Watch out for the palm trees. In your plank position, hello, Robert Palmer. Plank position, shoulders down, abs squeezed, butt braced. No moving for 3, 2, tip the tailbone to the ceiling. Last time, walk those feet into your hands. Watch all things around you as you slowly stack yourself up to tall. Head is last to land as you bring yourself up. It's a good drill. It's like I was in the alleyway bending.
That is. Robert Palmer's over there. We're addicted to our exercise practice here. We're addicted to love. I hope that's the right Robert Palmer as we get through here. And working on the pistols here now first. Let's get our focus back in. So first, come up to that flamingo and perhaps stay there, or again, using that balance aid at the side. Open the knee to the side. Show us that gorgeous triangle between the knee, the foot, the ankle there. But for now, close that up. No daylight between. When we descend in our single leg squat, both hips, micro styles here, very small, tip towards the cow shape in the hip. Let's hang out. Did the daylight open? Ask yourself to adduct for that nice strength to slurp up, suck into that straw. Then extend that hip forward. finishing tall. Lauren's favorite number is 3. Let's do that for this set. The tailbone tips back, but as Lauren's showing, the hip is staying right over the foot. Then press through, finishing tall. One more time, tailbone tips back, encouraging that dorsiflexion, meaning knee over toe. Then press through, finishing tall. Finish on 2 feet, perhaps those floppy fish ankles, and a little shake out to reset, and repeat. So as Lauren does that first repetition here, there's a wall behind her, and as she descends, she stays right over top of that foot. Then press through to tall. Repeating again, tailbone like a cow as we descend in that squat, hang out in that low position, then extend that hip, cramping the glute, finishing nice and tall. Repeating one last time, knee towards over toe, and think having the knee trace the big toe on the way down. Then extend on the up, finishing tall. Whew. 2 feet, floppy fish ankles, and from under the sea with those fish, back to terrain with the crawls. What's the next crawl, Lauren?
What's the next crawl? Well, your sea inspired me to flip upside down, and let's perform a crab.
Under the sea.
Under the sea.
Under the sea.
Let's first use our hinge this time. Hip hinge, both hips go back. We have so many pop culture references today.
Mostly Disney pop culture references.
Like 20-year-old references. Okay, come on down. Flip over onto your backside. So your cheeks are on the floor, your feet are facing forward, and your fingertips are facing forward. We'll be breaking down our crawl here today. Crab. Right now, let's round those shoulder blades forward. Then let's retract them, extending that heart chest towards the ceiling. Next, let's push down into the floor with our feet and our hands and just hover our hips off the floor. At the ab region, pelvis region, can you think about tucking those hips under? So you're connecting your ribs to your hips. Then reverse it. Tip the tailbone to the wall behind you by driving the femurs into their sockets. Repeat. Tuck the hips under, staying low. Abs, 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 abs. Then keep the abs braced as you tip the tailbone to the ceiling. One last time, if your hands are good for it, tuck those hips under, and then gently tip the tail back to the ceiling behind you. Let's place the hips down on the floor. Take a second. If you need to shake those hands out, you can. We'll be adding on, extending up into that tabletop position. So again, fingertips facing away from us, shoulders retracted. Let's press the floor away, lifting the hips up. Starting with the tailbone tip towards the back wall, then we'll slowly scoop under, and we'll continue to scoop and continue to extend on those hips up into our tabletop-like position. For me in this position, I like my head long, so I'm looking up at the ceiling. Shoulders are still pulled together, pressing the floor away. Then, using our core, we'll start at the tailbone or at the pelvis with that anterior tip, meaning the tailbones are reaching behind us. It's our hips, then our belly button, then that rib cage that moves. Let's reverse it one more time. So hips scoop, then the belly button starts to lift, then the ribs start to lift. And one last time on the way down, tailbone first, belly button starts to drop, rib cage starts to drop, and slowly back to our V, and then on the floor. Let's do a little flip here. Taking our hand, flipping ourselves over to that A-frame-like shape, and then slowly walking ourselves back up. We hinge down, so let's hinge back up to standing. Wha-pow.
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 And now we're back to that pistol squat progression. Use the balance aid if you're wibbling all over the place like I might on this next drill. We'll all have that strong side and then that stronger side, or the one that needs a little bit more work, if you can read between those lines.
Wibble.
So let's start in that flamingo. Perhaps just stay here. Build confidence and strength in your balance. Building time under tension will descend into that single leg pistol squat version. Stay low, but lift the elevated leg up even higher and maybe get down one more degree. Then press through, finishing tall. Let's just switch sides here. Same thing, other side. Pull up to the flamingo. Tailbone tips back like cow to make room in that hip to flex. Get low. Pull up the elevated leg to flex, then get lower on the other as the maybe, and then extend that hip, baby. Then feet to tall. Repeating, flamingo. tailbone tip like cow, descend. Flex the hip, meaning lift, descend a little bit more, spend more time in that new place, then press the hips through, finishing tall with that kneecap pulled up, back to 2 feet. Again on the other side, flamingo stance, check. Tailbones tipping towards the back, spilling the punch out the front, hang out low. Then pull up, flex the hip, then ask yourself to get lower on that other side, and then press through. I think Lauren's favorite number is still 3.
Oh.
So we're gonna do one more time here.
It's 2.
2? Well, 3.
Just kidding.
Ian says 3 today. So pull up, tailbone tips like our cow. Flex the hip, descend a millimeter more, and then press through. Maybe a 16th of the inch for those Americans in the audience, little bit of space. Last time here, other side, same thing, tailbone tips like cow, to the back, hang out. Could you lift up from the hip on the other side? Ask yourself to get a millimeter lower, balance, 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 whew, press through, stand tall, and then shake it out.
All
Crabs,
right.
elephants.
Yeah, what's next?
What's next?
You never know. We're working towards our crow. I'd like to, before we become a crow, practice our frog and our monkey. Both are important in the anamorphing towards our crow position.
Animorphs, great books as kids. Okay.
Yeah, see, 20-year-old references. Embarrassingly, probably 30. Okay, pull yourself down into that low squat. Right now, we will start with our forward hops as frogs. We'll place our hands down out front, fingertips, callus line palms. Next, you're going to hop your feet in next to your hands. Try to imagine catching as much air time as you can. Fingertips, palms, lift the hips up, catch some air time, soft landing. Let's try to do 2 more in the forward direction. And last one, those elbows are nice and straight, soft. Okay, you could turn around and practice going back in that forward direction, or the frogs I know go backwards. So keep those hands in this time tight to the hips, push forward on the floor, and hop back. 3 more. Air time, hop. Frogs are soft on their feet as they press the floor away. Last one. Good. Let's drive down into the floor. Take a little second off of that. And breathe. From the frog, we're going to get back down to the floor and try that same move, but now in the monkey style, which is lateral. It will look like this. We'll pull ourselves down. And then we're going to reach our hands to the side. Hand, hand, foot, foot. Hand, hand, foot, foot. 1 or 2 more depending on your space. Good day. And then we'll go back. Again, you're trying to spend as much time in the air as you can. Have the soft landings. Embrace the floor with those whole hands. Come back to your squat. And then press to tall and come back on set. Whew.
And shakes. Let's take that balance aid that's off camera here, bring it back on set, and work on sets of our straight leg strength out front. The legs in a second will be bent in the crow, so right now, let's work on stiff leg strength for the core and the pistol. Pull up to the low position, that flamingo. We'll keep the knee in the same position, and with a karate or ballet styled foot, extend on the knee. Turn the inseam up and hold for what I perceive to be 4 seconds. So let's pull it back in to tall. Stay there if that's for you, or climb to the knee. Repeat the same thing. The knee stays at the same height, and you open and point and turn that inseam up. Quad cramp, holy cow, pull it back in. Stay there. Maybe make more room by climbing the leg again. Last time, that number 3, point the toe. Stay tall. Breathe. Pull in. Then when the foot touches the floor, press the hip through. We'll just stay at our chairs here. We do the same thing again on the other side. Pull up to the low position. Tuck under the standing leg, cramp it. Then point to the front. Turn that inseam up and breathe. And return to the flamingo. From there, we'll pull up towards retire at the knee. The knee stays the same height as we extend. Inseams turned up, energy shooting through those toes. Pull back in. If you decide to lift, see the difference, feel the difference of a hip hike versus the hip flex. And then one last time, open, point, stiff leg, cramping bottom leg 2, pull back in, calmly ride down the foot to the floor. Add that shake and wiggle. Awesome. That comes in handy again for that leg out front when we do our glam rock kick or our pistol squat. Both.
Happen occasionally. You must be prepared.
I think we're going dancing tonight, Lauren. Let's do it.
We are now doing our crow. We progressed last week in that light hover, 1 foot off the floor position. Let's continue that first. So we'll pull ourselves down into, I like to start my crow from my squat position. Pull ourselves down. Hands will place on the floor. Maybe this is as far as you go, no problem. The next step would be to get up on the tiptoes and bring the elbows up to the armpits. Let's stay here, both feet stay connected. Knees up to the armpits. Hold for 3, 2, and then gently just rock back onto that full foot. If you work on that, that's great. If you'd like to progress, let's this time lift those knees up into the armpits. Rock forward. 1 ball of foot leaves the floor. Hold. 3, 2, place down. Second side leaves the floor. 3, 2, place down. Push the floor forward. Come back to that low squat. Let's do that one more time. Take a break and then add a little bit more. Hands on the floor. Lift the knees up. Gentle forward. Point a foot, hold, 3, 2, switch feet, 3, 2, both feet down, hips come underneath you, chest lifts, tall. Give that a little shake. Whew. Let's try that one more time. We'll try our single foot, and then we'll have one attempt at that double leg lift off. Pull yourself back down, returning to that crow position. Hands on the floor. Remembering this could be a great position too. Next, lift those knees up into the armpits. Drift forward. Single leg first right now. Single foot. 3, 2, place it down. Other single. 3, 2, place it down. Rock back. Take a second off. Breathe. And for one time trial here, we could try to lift both feet up. If you do so, you're trying to find that balance. Try not to just push into it and flop out of it. Control. Here we go. Hands on the floor. You could leave 1 foot first, and then the second maybe, and hold for some time if allowed. 3, 2, and then safely land on the feet. Take the hands away and press to tall.
Pressing to tall. Maybe let's get back to the floor anyhow that you want. Or could you assemble those single leg squat skills together and just for 1 repetition, pistol, squat, down. Then a little bit of a stretch when we're down there. Pull a leg up, straighten it out front. Take your time as you descend to the floor. And now that we're here, let's get to the elbow and just continue to work on hips and then knee extensions here. So on our elbow, we're in that 90 position where we have bent knees like 90 degrees, ankles, hips, all those 90-degree angles are showing up. But there's a ball of fire or a candle underneath your ribs, so don't forget to engage those obliques and core muscles and pull away from the floor. What's your head feeling like? It's not necessarily easy to stay here. Perhaps look at your forearm on the ground. Keeping your knee in the same position. Slowly extend the knee towards your straight. Then do your gentle transition to the ballet foot. Then straighten the knee again. Then karate style that foot. And then knee flexion, meaning bend back to the 90. Excellent. Pull that front leg into the hip to press that top hip forward as well. Forgot that cue when we started this. Let's do that one more time. So keep the hips strong, core active. The knee stays stationary, and we extend the knee with our karate foot. Then do your ballet foot. You might be able to extend the knee a little bit more. Then return to the karate style. Flexion, meaning bend on that knee to return. And then check out that mer person sit here, nice and tall, like Ariel or Eric, whomever. Just definitely not Ursula. Okay, come on back down to that elbow. Nothing against Ursula. I'm sorry, Ursula. I'm going to have nightmares about her tonight, I think. The bottom leg, pulls in, the top hip presses forward, and we lift the rib cage up to stay strong in the core. Your head could look at the forearm like Lauren is, but I want to look at you. Well, I can't see you, I promise. Now, knee stays still, karate style, foot on the ankle.
Back hips extended.
Back hip extended. Oops, play footsies with your partner if you want, but then extend that knee. Transition to the ballet foot, extend the knee. Transition to the karate foot, and then very gently flex to 90. As Lauren just said there, let's pull in the front hip, press through the top, engage those obliques, and one last time, it's the knee that slowly extends with the karate style foot. Point the toe. You're more likely able to get a little more extension there with that ballet style foot, and then dorsiflex again. Easy does it on the knee bend. Return to the 90. Press away. Sit tall and breathe. From here, there's no rules, but maybe just no hands. Take your time. Come up to standing. Add those shakes and wiggles. And we would like to say thank you for being here with us live or archive at our weekend workout where we are crawling, crowing, and pop culture referencing, and maybe some animaling as well. So my name's Ian, and this is Lauren, and to our patrons, thank you very much. It's Paetron, and we are Bars and Bells. To our members, it's barsandbells.com. Please subscribe there too. Or those YouTubers at large, thank you for being here, and we appreciate your like, your support, your subscribe, your share, and then maybe even some money, because that helps too.
Thanks for joining us today. Next week, stay tuned for our bell class, our bar class, and our body weight. What more do you need? Some walks in between.
Yes.
Thanks for joining. Take care, stay strong, and let's train soon.
Have a good day.
Goodbye.